Ferguson on the right-hand side for LAT Racing Oils and Brown Line Construction. Came out and did a little testing last weekend at Virginia Motorsports Park. Has looked impressive here in testing today. And Freddie Scriba, number 3 man in the point standings. Trying to get his first points-paying win. He did pick up the win at the PDRA Pro Stars event earlier this season as these two face off. Scriba, 372 at 203. Freddie was 957 down low, 252 through the middle. Perkinson, let go 19, was 966 down low, and then shut her down. Spencer Hyde and Marcus Bird up next. Marcus Burt driving the Tommy Yeoman's own Camaro left side. Spencer Hyde, the Jack in the Green stock machine. The inaugural World Series of Pro Mod winner. Drag 965 Pro Extreme Motorcycle, we need you. Motorcycles. Motorcycles, we need you. Issues for Marcus Burp, but look at Spencer Hyde, 372 at 203. Drag 965 Pro Extreme Motorcycles, we need you. Melanie Salemi and Tommy Cunningham up next. Cunningham behind the wheel, this mean-looking Mustang for Stroud safety on the right side. Melanie behind the wheel of Mike Stawicki's Chevrolet Camaro left side. both cars silent by mid-track. Melanie had issues right on the hit. And Tommy Cunningham shuts her down early. Take a check there of the racing service. It's all good to go, so we'll fire our next pair up. Tommy Mooney, Brian Schrader. Mooney in the Camaro left side of the racetrack with the Fulton power plant for TM Race Cars and Davis Technologies. Brian Schrader here on the right-hand side. Out of the Robert Hayes Motorsports camp, a beautiful Chevrolet Corvette. Tommy Mooney going to make the trip, 382 at 198. Brian Schrader went out, had a big move towards the center line, and wisely took his foot off the throttle. He'll coast through at a 5:43 at 89 miles an hour. Cameron Hensley finding all the RPMs in the burnout on some licensing runs. On the wheel of that Coast Packing Company Camaro. Cameron, let's go 63, 9:57 short time. Cam Clark up next, left side of the racetrack. The Pat Musey-powered Mark Engle-owned Camaro. And Brian Weddle here on the right-hand side. Picked up his first 660 man of the year at our last event. Weddle for $13.25. A beautiful Camaro on the right side of the racetrack. Cam Clark, 378 at 201. 438 at 185 for Brian Weddle. Weddle was 006 going by the Christmas tree when we stopped up in Martin, Michigan. Weddle, on his way to earning his first 660 man, was 00 3 out of the 4 times during eliminations. So keep your eye on that red Camaro. Our next pair, Bubba Green, left side. The Chevrolet Corvette out of South Carolina, tuned by Scotty Cannon. And Marcus Butner here on the right-hand side, out of Tobaccoville, North Carolina for Butner Construction. The J. Cox tune, Musey-powered Camaro. Marcus makes a hard move to the left. And Bubba Green has issues right on the hit as well, so we'll push the Corvette back. Ron Green, the DeSoma-powered Pontiac, left side of the racetrack, and Bill Devine, the Bullseye Ford Mustang here on the right-hand side. Ron Green gets over next to the wall and aborts the mission, but look at Bill Devine, 407 at 172. So our next pair fired to life, Scott Lang, the AML Motorsports Camaro for K13 on the right-hand side out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And the Hells Bells hot rod of Johnny Camp, left side. For Tapman Electric, Camp Brothers Concrete, with Brandon Stroud doing the crew chiefing. Johnny's been making some impressive passes here already this weekend. Riding the momentum from his win up at Martin, Michigan at our last event. Two Pro-Charged Pro-Line machines here in T3 side by side. Side by side, this pair is going to go. Look at Johnny Camp, 367 at 200 miles an hour. Was 920 down low, 245 through the middle. And Scott Lang goes a 370 with a 4 at 209. He was 941 down low, 250 with a 2 through the middle. Jason Lee, left side of the racetrack. Travis Harvey on the right. Harvey finally getting that Camaro on the right side figured out. Has looked better this later half of the season than he has prior. Pro Stock and 632, we need you for T3, please. Pro Stock and 632, we need you the lanes for T3, please. Harvey's on a rip, 372 at 204. Jason Lee shuts her down early, coasts through at a 464, but Jason was 936 down low. Chris Cadado fires the brick up here in front of race control and heads to the water box. And Steve King on the right-hand side for Pilot King Racing. If you're not already, make sure you follow Steve King and the Savage Corvette on all forms of social media. They do a great job and have a lot of fun with some of their posts. Once again, looking for Pro Stock and 632. Pro Stock and 632, we need you. A lot of blow by on Steve King's machine. Pretty sure they're going to shut that hot rod off. And they do. They're going to back him off the starting line. Something going south underneath the hood of that machine. So Chris Cadado in the Dodge Ram pickup truck. The brick will be on a single run. Cadado on a good rip, 412 at 189 for the brick. 79 going by the Christmas tree. Ed Burnley, the Iron Man, here on the right side. Supposed to face off against Preston Tanner. Looks like their crew's running around Preston's car, trying to get it fired up. Still trying to get the Sweetheart fired up back here. Looks like we're going to send Ed Burnley down on a single pass. Burnley, 371 at 203 was 951 in the first 60 feet. 249.6 through the middle and a 371 at 203. All right, so they were going to hold Preston for the next pair, and it looks like they're going to push that hot rod off. Pro stock and 632. We're still looking for you, Pro stock and 632. Scott Kincaid next up here on the right-hand side out of Thornhill, Tennessee, the Chevrolet Camaro Pro Street Runner. And Tony Wilson on the left-hand side. Cool story behind that car. I believe it's a tribute to his uncle. Tony has some issues. Scott Kincaid has none. Drops a 406 at 191 miles an hour. Great run there for Kincaid. Pro Street is looking to be spicy here this weekend. Derek Ward next up on the right-hand side. Current world record holder in the category. Don't expect to see the record go anywhere this weekend, though. And Ricky Smith on the left-hand side for Parkway Ford in the Mustang. Derek Ward has some issues there. Ricky Smith has none. 373 at 202. Joe Winsley, left side of the racetrack out of Dearborn, Michigan. Liberty's Gears, your defending world champion. Here on the right-hand side, Jason Harris for Southern Diamond Tool, or Southern Diamond Company and SP Tool. That's what it is. Check out Joel Winsley, 371 at 204, was 951 down low. Jason Harris, 930 down low. And had some issues there about half track on. Jeff Serra behind the wheel of the Camaro on the right-hand side of the racetrack, doing some testing. And trying to fit that machine into the Pro Street category. And Joe Winsley Jr., left-hand side of the racetrack. Both these hot rods having some issues. They'll coast down through there. Callie Mills next up on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Ty Casper. The Casper Performance Mustang on the left-hand side. Callie doing the wiggle down through there. But look at Ty Casper, 4:08 at 178. Callie coast through at a 4:62, 121. The Copperhead Mustang, left side of the racetrack of Jerry Morgano. Richard Reagan, teammate of Scott Kincaid here on the right-hand side in the Mustang. Reagan had the front end hiked up. But check out Jerry Morgano, 4:03 at 196 miles an hour. I'm sure Tyler and the crew's pretty excited about that. Cool moment here in testing as we'll have father versus son. Ethan Stedding, the post street standout on the right-hand side, and Kurt Stedding on the left-hand side. Both of them leading points in their respective categories. Kurt Stedding in Pro Boost, Ethan Stedding in Pro Street. Kurt Stedding, 365 at 206 miles an hour. And the screen went blank. King Tut, Todd Tutterow, next up here on the left-hand side. Tutterow having some issues, coast through at a 4.99. A couple of our Drag 965 Pro Extreme motorcycles going to do some testing here. .410 at 174. .409 175.
Your attention to the pit area, please. Attention to the pits. Super Street. This is a call for you. Super Street. Super Street. You've been called to staging, please. Super Street.
Jeremy Huffman on the right-hand side. Pat Patterson left side of the racetrack. Both these machines getting a little sideways out there, going to abort mission. Jordan Insolent on the left side in the Mustang. He'll cruise down through there, 427, 171 miles an hour, 431, 164 on the right-hand side. Jason Ventura, left side of the racetrack. Pretty certain that's Elijah Morton there on the right-hand side.
So runs through the gears, and Elijah Morton clicks it off right side. 434, 139 the speed. 427, 163 the numbers there for the Gladiator X Camaro of Jordan Insolent. Two more machines will come to life, and you got that Pro 632. Injured over here on the left-hand side, Greenbrier Excavating, and that can mean only one thing. Be Jeff Melnick behind the wheel. He'll be rolling through the water box in just a moment. We're going to send a single.
So a quick drag of the racing surface. We'll fire the next ones up. Shout out to everyone out there watching on Flow. Test day here for the Thunder Valley Throwdown. Quentin Matheny back in Virginia checking things out.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, Scotty, it's been a couple of years since I came here, and I've been coming to Bristol for quite a long time, and I think this is one of the not coolest stops of the PDRA tour that we have been to. Just the facility, and I know everybody, there was a lot of hype about this race coming into it this year, and glad to see such a strong car count on Thursday. Over 300 cars on property.
They parked 293 rigs yesterday here on the ground. Unreal.
There was a lot of comments. I was reading through Facebook last night, and hey, we've been waiting in line 2 hours, but guess what? Everybody got parked, and
we drive tech. We drive the industry, going beyond the limits and advancing forward. A versatile all-in-one solution. We're here for you every step of the way. And that's why you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
From out west,
probably
down
one
south.
of the most centrally located events for us at the PDRA. So it draws a good crowd from all over that can converge here in Bristol this weekend. Of course, we're going to see some qualifying tonight as we move to Thursday night qualifying in our sportsman categories with top dragster, top sportsman. You'll be seeing them coming out later. And we've seen career best numbers out of some teams already today in testing, which is awesome.
Doug Nickel, the ground control property Camaro on the right-hand side. And Jeff Melnick, your defending world champion, left side of the racetrack.
You see him moving around a little bit out there, and finish line stripe, Jeff Melnick left side. How about 426, 151, 428, 164 the speed. Doug Nickel with his first gen Chevrolet Camaro to the other end of the racetrack tonight. Bill Neary brings his Chevrolet Cobalt to life. Rolls to the water box, right hand side. Burnouts be underway here in just a minute. Ashley Franklin's going to be right alongside. Ashley's out in front. I knew that. I was just trying to see if you were listening, you know. Gotcha.
Welcome back to the PDRA, Derek Beach.
Yep. It's literally, I put my finger on the schedule, and I close my eyes, and I go up and down whatever I land on. And we landed on Bristol this weekend. Last time I missed Martin. Missed that race. You didn't catch that? But
So Bill Neary on the right-hand side, Amber Franklin left.
yeah, Bill Neary's going to do some driving out there. You see him go towards the center line stripe, brings it back, and 4:23, the end result. Franklin's going to go 4:22, 170 miles an hour.
Tommy Lee next up on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Daryl Stewart, left-hand side.
How about Tommy? 4:13, 175, 59 the speed for Tommy Lee and the team with their Chevrolet Camaro. High gear top end charge.
Daryl Stewart lays down a 4:16.6 at 172. Andy House, right-hand side for Southern Diamond Company, and Walt Lanigan for freedomgrow.org. Indy House. Walt Lanigan with a 426, 164. House goes through at a 435, 161. Lexi Tanner next up, left side. Jamie Thompson on the right. Thompson 426.4, the better of the two at 165. 428 at 165, left side. Getting ready, a little brooming and grooming. Then we'll bring out the AFCO Racing Super Street presented by Mincer Motorsports. Odd number, top sportsman cars for Q1 to the staging lanes at this time. If your car number ends in an odd number, bring it to staging lanes for Q1, please. Odd number, top sportsman cars. We need you for Q1 to the staging lanes at this time, please.
So Blake Denton and Alton Clemens. Charged Mustang there on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Still runs out of order there. Alton. Many years here at Bristol. Back in the junior days. There's a lot of success moving up through the ranks. And running here this weekend with us in the PDRA. Of course, Blake Denton made quite the name for himself in the last couple seasons. He's got that hot rod running really strong. Silver Chevrolet Camaro, the super grip side of the racetrack. Reigning world champ in the category. Once again, attention to the pit area. We need odd number top sportsman cars. You have been called to staging. Odd number top sportsman cars. You have been called to staging, please, for Q1. So Alton Clemens rolls out there and on the wheel speed. Strikes the tire and clicks it off at 767. Blake's going to go A to B, 485, 153. Over on the right-hand side. So Derek Mona and Matt Shallow coming up next. It'll be quite the showdown between Derek and Matt. The best running cars we've really seen in the category. In their own respective rights, per se. Derek Mona, the Mustang. Here on the right side, everybody's been chasing here in 2024. It's going to set the world on fire. Extremely quick race car. A little power pedal fest out there, and Derek Mona gets to the other end, 484, 159. Matt's going to coast on through 926 lights. Top end scoreboard on the left-hand side. Once again, we have called odd number top sportsman. Odd number top sportsman, you've been called to staging.
Pair of Fox bodies up next. Brad Cox on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Tommy, Turbo Tommy Thrasher here on the right-hand side. About hit the two-step on that Turbo Tommy. Brad Cox with some issues. Turbo Tommy, 475 at 161 miles per hour.
So Connor McGee. Gage Lamas comes into the water box next, and these are two of our young guns in the category. Up-and-coming stars of the PDRA World Tour, and I'll say two teams and drivers that really kind of pay attention to as the weekend unfolds.
Yeah, they both had banner weekends in Norwalk at our stop there. Gage Lamas, left side. He was your #1 qualifier. And Connor McGee won the event.
Gage Lamas, Connor McGee turns him loose. Pontiac and the Mustang side by side. Look at the numbers, 464 and 479. There for Gage Lamas at 155. 159 the speed for Connor McGee on the right-hand side. Almost identical reaction times. Look at Connor's car down low. 113 to the 122, half track 307 to the 322, and 464 to the 479. The numbers you've seen on the top end scoreboard.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, Derek, that I feel like Pro Street's going to be nasty. It looks like Super Street's going to be right there with them. Austin Vincent next up on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Once again, looking for the odd number top sportsman cars for Q1, please. Odd number top sportsman cars, we need you. Vincent slows to a 492 at 149. Looked like they had some issues there. 576 on the right-hand side. So we're going to go check the racing surface out, make sure we're good to go before we send these final pair of Super Street machines down. All clean down on the racing surface. Ran shots in the Corvette. Not on file in the Mustang. Odd car number, Top Sportsman. We need you in the staging lanes for Q1, please. Mustang doing the dance, left side shots. 489 at 149. Mustang goes through at a 535. Odd number, Top Sportsman. We need you for Q1.
Weldon, pumps, regulators, filters, fueling champions.
Sportsman. Francis Jarrell on the right-hand side, the Malibu out of Henrico. And Fast Freddie Perkins, left-hand side out of Plainville, Connecticut, the Batmobile 57 Chevy.
And a little Thursday night qualifying under the lights here at Thunder Valley. Kicking things off here in our top sportsman category. Back a little broom and groom out there on the racing surface. Track prep we just finished up. Francis Jarrell, longtime runner back at Virginia Motorsports Park. A heavy hitter in the bracket program that they have there. Will he complete his burnout?
If you remember, Derek, he also had that unfortunate incident at Galat. Was it last season, I believe, in his Mustang?
You're going to ask me?
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'm sure I was there.
Maybe. So, our first pair, Magna Fuel Top Sportsman. Get ready to head to the starting line. Freddie Perkins, Francis Jarrell.
Well over 300 cars on the property here this Thursday evening. Strong field and top sportsman, top dragster that you will see. Three-stage bulbs are lit. Perkins staged up and ready to go. Durrell's in. Three fires there out in the way. The 036 to a 16 green. Finish line stripe ready. 436, 159. The end result here in the opening round of qualifying, 591, 118 miles an hour for Francis Durrell.
Barry Daniluk next up, left-hand side out of Mooresville, North Carolina, the 68 Camaro, 970 cubic inches underneath the hood. And Al Davidowski on the right-hand side out of Columbus, New Jersey, the 2010 GXP.
So that Pontiac GXP out of New Jersey, Davidowski. Let's go to the 048. Daniluk's going to be 024. Finish line stripe. How about that naturally aspirated Chevrolet? Barry Daniluk, 4.091. 176 miles an hour. 427, 165. The numbers for Davidowski. The top of the racetrack they will go. Burnouts are underway for our next pair, and that is going to bring up
Jackie Bennett on the left-hand side, the 68 Camaro out of Florida. And Jeff Brooks on the right side of the racetrack out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, the Kaiser Compressors, 51 Henry J for Royal Purple. Sonny's Racing Engine, 762 cubic inches underneath the hood scoop for the Henry J.
So Jackie Bennett and Jeff Brooks. It's at 51 Henry J, 700 plus cubic inches of horsepower. And Jeff Brooks, the high gear charge to the finish line stripe tonight at 418, 174. 496 Jackie Bennett. And 110 miles an hour. Bennett's going to have some issues and slows here in the opening round of qualifying.
Ron Biondo, left side of the racetrack out of Macedonia, Ohio, the 94 Lumina. And Dwayne Gallagher on the right-hand side, another Ohio runner. The 68 Camaro for Deer Run Investments. There's
So Ron Biondo comes off of that final round appearance there at US 131 for Sports Park in Martin, Michigan a few weeks ago. So to Glenn Butcher in the final round. Biondo hoping to roll that momentum that he has seen here in this second half of the season into Bristol this weekend. Two Ohioans side by side, a pair of Chevrolet bow ties, getting ready to turn them loose. Ron Biondo, let's go to BO51, top of the racetrack, 4:23, 171 the speed for the Lumina. Dwayne Yalagi is going to go 4:21.6, 170 miles an hour. That's going to put them number 3 and 4 right now.
John Smith, left side of the racetrack, the Jansen 2014 Camaro out of Orchard Park, New York. And Wendell Denny Jr. on the right-hand side, driving for Lucian Yates. Big win out there backing up the car. Wendell, an SBA world champion at one point in his Chevy 2, now behind the wheel of this machine for Yates.
Yeah, Wendell Denny. That Cavalier. See on the right-hand side. Beautiful looking race car. John Schmid. Schmid's Camaro, the Jansen Performance Shop out of Orchard Park, New York, here on the left side. 12 thou red for the Cavalier. Finish line, how about 4:06, John Schmid, 183 miles an hour, 4:41, 159. There for Wendell, and by 300ths of a second, John Schmid will go to the top here in big round of qualifying, and that's going to hold for, well, just maybe a pair.
Mark Payne next up on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Waynesboro, Virginia. The House of Payne Performance 06 Cavalier for Holly EFI. Mickey Thompson Tires. FTI Performance, Rogers Automotive, and Competition Suspensions. Twin turbo LS platform underneath the flat hood of that Cavalier. And Brian Tiff on the right-hand side, driving the Dr. Gary Sween owned 2020 Corvette. Charlie Buck horsepower underneath the hood scoop. Jerry Bickle built that hot rod. M&M Transmission, Schweitzer Dynamics, and Mark Smith Racing on board.
So Mark Payne, the small block, and the big block for Brian Tiff. The pair of Chevrolets, they're out and down course. Watch Brian, how about 3.846, 194 the speed. Say hello to your new #1 qualifier. Brian first into the threes with a great run here in Q1 of top sportsman Mark Payne. 4:09.9, 179 the speed.
All right, so little oil leak over here on the Corvette. They're going to shut him off. Unfortunately, there will be some cleanup. Mark Fleeg in the 63 split window out of Crestwood, Kentucky, has a trail of fluid coming out of that machine. So Karsten Nyergis will make a single pass right here out of Warren, Ohio. Another one of the Schween Motorsports entries, the 2000 Firebird, Charlie Buck horsepower, Bruzy transmissions, and Mark Smith Racing. And they'll push Mark Fleeg's Fulton-powered Corvette.
Eyes are on the auto detailer out of Warren, Ohio for Karsten. Car number 2 out of the Schween Motorsports camp. See Brian go down. 384.6, assumed the number 1 spot. Karsten turns it loose at 078 and gets to the other end at 436.166.
We drive tech. We drive the industry. Going beyond the limits and advancing forward. A versatile all-in-one solution. We're here for you every step of the way. And that's why you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
All right, quick cleanup by the PDRA and Bristol staff. We're firing up the next pair. Continuing our qualifying here for Magna Fuel Top Sportsman. Jay Grisham, left-hand side Ford Mustang. And Gary Kent's on the right-hand side, the GTO out of Windham, Ohio for T&K Performance Transmission and Larry's Tent Shop. Brian Tiff leads the way so far with that 384.6. A substantial gap back to John Smid. 13 cars have taken time so far. Dr. J, left side Mustang.
So we are back underway, qualifying. One of Top Sportsman after a little cleanup back behind the water box and kind of transpired out past the 60-foot mark, so our crew did a good job of getting us back on course. Okay, Grisham, Gary Kent's turning them loose. And Gary Kent's experiences some issues, and the car comes to a stop and pulls over towards the wall before the half-track mark. 457, 156 the speed for Jay Grisham. Ballot health side of the racetrack. So we're going to get our PDRA safety team out there to give Gary a push. The Windham, Ohio Pontiac GTO. We did not start qualifying off how they planned here this weekend.
So engines roar back to life. Jeff Talvaccio here on the right-hand side. The deep purple 69 Camaro for Buddy's Concrete Service. And Charlie Buck race engine, 632 cubic inches underneath the hood for Talvaccio. And John Benoit, left-hand side, the Vermont-based 2017 Camaro for Benoit Electric. Charlie Buck Power, Schweitzer Dynamics, 959 cubic inches underneath the hood scoop for Benoit.
John Benoit grabbing a handful of wheel out there with sashaying around first part of the racetrack. Benoit's Camaro, 413, 177 the speed, as Jeff Telvaccio slides to number 13 in qualifying tonight at 441.8, 156. So John Benoit into the number 5 spot, Throwdown. Only one driver has been in the 3 so far, and that's your number 1 qualifier, Brian Tiff, 384.6. Trying to chase that number. What's going to be Dan Hill and Bruce Thrift coming up next.
Yeah, Hale on the left-hand side out of Thompson, Connecticut, the 69 Camaro. And Bruce Thrift, an event winner on tour this season. Here on the right-hand side, the Cullen McGaughan 2018 GTO out of Waycross, Georgia. Par Racing engines and chassis engineering on board his machine. Thrift took out the centerline cones in testing earlier this afternoon. Hopefully he has everything lined out on that Pontiac now.
Candles will lit there on the left-hand side. Dan Hill takes that first-gen 69 Camaro to a 4:14 elapsed time. 4:25, Bruce Thrift. That's going to put the Waycross, Georgia Pontiac at GTO number 10. Dan Hill to number 6, and burnouts are underway for your next pair here in Q1 of Top Sportsman qualifying.
All Top Sportsmen, if you haven't been down in Q1, we need you. All Top Sportsman cars, we need you. All Top Sportsmen, we need you for Q1 if you haven't made a lap yet. Nick Maloney, left side out of Brentwood, New Hampshire, the TT Motorsports 69 Camaro for Pit Stop Auto and Truck. Seth Garrison on the right-hand side, the 06 Stratus.
As is the tree-fired Seth Garrison's Dodge Stratus. A few feet and went silent. Nick Maloney, A to B for TT Motorsports. The end result, 4:30.163. And Seth Garrison's going to get the Dodge refired and move it on down to the other end at 22 seconds. So they'll go back to the drawing board tonight. Get ready for second round of qualifying tomorrow that we will see in Top Sportsman.
Killer Brooks and Ronnie Proctor, our next pair. Brooks on the left side. The Predator, 1992 Cavalier out of Youngstown, Ohio. And Ronnie Proctor, right-hand side Ford Mustang out of Hedgeville, West Virginia. The Blue Bayou machine for Sonic Skiers. A Bruzy Transmission, Chewy's Performance, Larice Motorsports Insurance, Hoosier Tire, and Roadrunner Racing Fuels.
Oh, hold on, Killer Brooks, man, did that car get way crossed up out there. Nearly crossing the 330-foot cone and into Ronnie Proctor's lane. So the Predator of Killer Brooks goes to number 19 at 487 to 114. Ronnie got out in front, was never looking back. 427 to 167 puts Proctor number 11. Probably looking over and seeing the issues that Brooks was having, and he's like, yeah, let's get to the other end.
Well, Ronnie let go perfect, so that'll get you out in front. Fresh off a win, Mark Reese, left side of the racetrack out of North Dinwiddie, Virginia, the 08 Mustang. And Aaron Glasser on the right-hand side, the 69 Camaro out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
There goes Aaron Glasser, the Shepherdsville, Kentucky Camaro, 392 tonight. 186 miles an hour for Aaron Glasser. Mark Reese going to go 427, 165. Struggling to get that.
Yeah, let me help you out, buddy. Aaron Glasser goes to number 2. Mark Reese currently will be number 12. And our next pair, Chad Tilley, the TNT Express out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the 96 Beretta. Great to see Chad back out on tour with us. And Mike Alexander Jr., the 63 Corvette out of the Walking Tall Garage, Mechanicsville, Virginia entry. They call that machine the Grinch. Mike has a win on tour this season, was leading points, I believe, up until Michigan. Sure was. Mark Reese took the championship point standing lead over and knocked Mike Alexander all the way back to the number 4 spot. So Mike looking to rebound a little bit and have a good points weekend. Chad Tilley, always a threat when he joins us here on the PDRA Tour. All top sportsman cars, if you haven't made a trip down the racetrack here in Q1, if you have not made the lap, you need to get it in line. Top sportsman.
To Mike Alexander, right side with the 63 split window Corvette. It's going to be 422.2, 167 the speed. Well, fist pump out of the crew there. They're happy with the numbers that they've seen on the top end scoreboard. Chad Tilley slides to number 21, 454. His elapsed time at 128. That's going to put Mike Alexander number 10 right now. Still a long list of top sportsman machines you're going to see here in round number 1 of qualifying.
And here comes Robbie Crenshaw on the left-hand side, the Abilene Express 89 Cutlass for BuildRWC.com out of Richmond, Virginia. And Ron Whitlock on the right-hand side out of Advance, North Carolina, the 2013 GXP for Sunrise Tire and Auto.
Right now, Robbie Crenshaw, Ron Whitlock on the starting line. Oldsmobile and the Pontiac. Squaring off. Tree fires, they're out and away. Whitlock pedals her early into the run, and he struggles. 428, 164 for Robbie, as Whitlock's car knocked the tire off in the first 60 feet very early. Once he got out of it and tried to reapply the horsepower, the car made a move to the center line, and Ron Whitlock aborts the run, 541, 118.
Tim Papp, Jeremy Kriesman, our next pair out. Kriesman on the right-hand side. The car they call Skittles, the 2017 Camaro for CNC Chemical Par Racing engines. And Tim Papp on the left-hand side out of Charleston, Illinois, the Papp Auto Body 2016 Corvette. Nesbitt powered, 872 cubic inches worth. And Barker Max tuning. He's also got your defending world champion and elite top sportsman Donnie Urban as a crew chief, so that never hurts. And two of the faster cars in the category line up side by side here in Q1.
Your final call for top sportsman. Attention to the pit area. Attention to the pits. Final call. Top sportsman. Going on the staging lanes. You need to be there, please. Final call. Yeah, so pretty cool to see Tim Papp and Donnie Urban team up this year. And
yeah, the two knowledge bases joining up is going to be tough to beat.
oh, and we see such a big improvement for Tim Papp's overall program.
Yeah.
Had a great race car to begin with. You bring Donnie Urban into the mix of things, and they struggle here in the opening round of qualifying tonight. Unfortunately, Papp's car is silent out there, coasting on down the left-hand side to a 7:39 elapsed time. Jeremy Kriesman, A to B, with his Camaro, 395, 189.63 the numbers. So that's going to put Jeremy number 3 currently. And back to the drawing board. Right for Tim Papp.
And that'll bring up Jeff Melnick out of Hubbard, Ohio, the Exotic Fab 02 Avenger for Greenbrier Excavating. And Stacy Hall on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Spartanburg, South Carolina for Fulton Competition Race Engines. The 63 split-window Corvette, Tommy Mooney built machine. Maxima Oils on board. Melnick already has a win on tour this season. Actually, a couple of them now, 2 different classes. Got a 632 win and a top sportsman win.
Stacy Hall's Corvette moves right. He brings it to the center of the racetrack again. 421, 172. The Fulton Competition engine entry, Jeff Melnick. 417 with a 9, 174.32 the speed, so that is going to be good enough for number 9. Stacy Hall's number 11.
Dan Germano on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the Royal Purple Oil 68 Camaro with the power plant underneath the hood, scoop, Braille battery, Miller welders, Hoosier tire, and NGK spark plugs on board. And I believe that may be Richard Payne there on the left-hand side. The House of Payne Performance Chevy 2.
Look at the run out of Dan Germano. 004 and 422. 169 for Dan Germano. Payne's going to be 006 and 580. 117 in the Nova.
Ed Foley out of Westminster, Pennsylvania, the Cox Automotive 05 Cobalt will line up next on the left-hand side of the racetrack. And on the right-hand side, Jamie Fowler, pimping and limping out of Chester, South Carolina, the 69 Camaro for PD Fleet, LAT Racing Oils, NGK, Advanced Prosthetics, Gopher Utilities, and Yonts RVs.
So Ed Foley, Jamie Fowler turns on their top bulb. They work their way in for Cox Automotive. You've got the Cobalt on the left side. That Chevrolet Camaro right alongside of Jamie Fowler. And for PD Fleet, there's Jamie going 382 tonight, 194 miles an hour. 432 left side for Ed. And Jamie Fowler takes over your #1 qualifying spot by 0.02 of a second. That's going to bump Brian Tip to #2, Aaron Glasser to #3, Jeremy Kriesman to 4, and you got 4 drivers all in the 3-second zone right now.
Scott Duggan's left-hand side of the racetrack out of Inman, South Carolina, the 63 split-window Corvette. And Dwayne Silence on the right-hand side out of Jacksonville, North Carolina for Silence Service Center, the 68 Camaro.
Duggins, Pro Charge, 63 split window, Jerry Hospelt Corvette, Racing Engines himself, and Dwayne Silence over here on the right side of the racetrack. Business owner out of North Carolina. Fast hot rod squaring off. Tree fires and they're out and away. Scott Duggan stops the clock. 3.902. 189 the speed. Dwayne's going to go 394. 187. That's going to put Dwayne Silence to #5. Scott Duggins right to #3 here this evening under the lights in Bristol.
Top 6 currently in the 395 or quicker range. J.C. Beatty Jr. on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the ATI 69 Camaro out of Baltimore, Maryland, and Steve Furr out of Harrisburg, North Carolina. Furlock Racing, Hoosier Tire, VP, and Sunrise Auto on board that machine. And I guess Top Sportsman better be on notice if Steve Furr's behind the wheel.
That's kind of my thought there. Is, doesn't matter what Steve Furr's driving. He is more than capable of parking that thing in the winter circle. Everybody knows it. Side-time world champ. J.C. Beatty for ATI Performance Products, team out of Maryland. 59 Chevrolet bodies Camaro here on the right side. How about 10 at the let-go? For Steve Ferd, it's going to be 424 this evening, 170 the speed. JC is going to trail 445, 156. And JC Beatty was 13 here on the starting line. Great reaction times out of both drivers. They make respectable runs to the other end of the racetrack, and that will bring up our next pair.
Randy Perkinson, left side of the racetrack out of South Chesterfield, Virginia. The Perkinson Racing 67 Mustang for Oakwood Monument. G-Force built that machine. And Tim Lawrence on the right-hand side out of Princeton, West Virginia. The Phantom 2013 Camaro. Even with missing a race, Perkinson still finds himself number 2 in the point standings on the elite side behind Glenn Butcher. Odd Top Dragster will take you. Odd Top Dragster will take you to the staging lanes for Q1. Odd numbered Top Dragsters for Q1. We need you to the staging lanes, please. So Randy Perkinson and Tim Lawrence. Perkinson looking for the 380s. Lawrence looking for that 3-second zone as well.
And to the finish line stripe. Numbers for Randy Perkinson, 382, 192. After being 12, going by the tree, and say hello to new number 1 qualifier in the category. That's Randy Perkinson. And Tim Lawrence going to go 398 here at 182 miles an hour. So Randy, by 8 thousandths of a second, is going to be a little quicker than Jamie Fowler to take over the number 1 spot.
Perkinson was 933 down low. That thing was getting after it. So that'll bring up Ronnie Dotson out of Browntown, Virginia on the left-hand side of the racetrack, the 04 Grand Am, and Josh Myers out of Rogersville, Tennessee, the Beretta on the right-hand side. Once again, looking for the odd-numbered Top Dragster cars. Odd number, Top Dragster for Q1. We need you to the staging lanes, please.
Ronnie Dodson stops the clock, 469, 152. 521 there for Josh Myers, the Rogersville, Tennessee base. 665 cubic inch Chevrolet. That's going to put Myers number 39, Ronnie Dodson number 36.
And bring up Robbie Stewart on the left-hand side out of Strasburg, Virginia. The RS Equipment and Fleet Services 90 Cutlass. And Trey Garrison on the right-hand side out of Shelby, North Carolina. The RA Tire Center 70 Duster. The big old Sunny 762 cubic inch monster underneath the hood scoop. Odd number, Top Dragster, we need you. Odd number, Top Dragster for Q1, we need you.
Right now, Trey Garrison, Robbie Stewart, staged and ready. Garrison's car, violet tire shake. Starting line. And 465, 153 miles an hour for Robbie Stewart. Trey Garrison, as soon as the car started to move, see it rattling the tires and just coasted on the other end, 13 seconds.
Sean Morrison out of Apex, North Carolina, the 67 Chevy 2 on the right-hand side of the racetrack. And Brian LaFlamme, left side, out of Gilbert, Arizona, the Big Stuff Total Management 67 Mustang for LaFlamme Motorsports and YO Motorsports. And we might have to pause just a second while we get Trey Garrison's machine off the racing surface.
Brian LaFlamme pedals it once, pedals it twice, into the other end of the racetrack at 419. 170 miles an hour for Brian. Sean Morrison, he's going to trail at 547, 127 after being 3 foul red. Brian LaFlamme slides to number 16, so he's still in the elite field. He's been pedaling that Ford Mustang to the other end of the racetrack. Here comes your latest race winner on tour.
Yeah, that's Glenn Butcher out of Doylestown, Ohio. The Butcher and Son Demolition 69 Camaro. Hoosier Tire, Bruzy Trans, Albert Race Engines, and Pack Springs. And Brian Pryor, the Iceman out of Petersburg, Virginia, the 69 Camaro for Brian Pryor Performance and Black Star Custom Graphics.
Oh, hold on, Glenn Butcher as he gets near the center line and might have crossed over there. 4:08 with a 5. 145 miles an hour for Doylestown, Glenn Butcher, and Brian Pryor. 475 there. And I would say that Glenn Butcher, in fact, did grab a cone or two out there on the racetrack. That car was at half track, pushing hard to the right side. Butcher tried to rein it back in, and then it made a big-time move. And that's when Glenn aborted the run, but it was just a little too late. Camaro slid over the center line stripe and collected a cone down there. So we will go out and replace a timing block or two and go back into Top Sportsman qualifying here momentarily in Bristol tonight under the lights. Top Dragster waiting in the wings. They're going to come out next.
All right, so they got the cone put back up down at the mile an hour. And it'll be David Strassel on the left-hand side. The Lumina. A 63 split window Corvette not on file here on the right-hand side.
There goes Dave Strassel. 449 or 158 miles an hour. 448, 160 there on the right side. Out of both race cars. Down there on the bottom half of the field, number 36 and number 37.
Brian Stoltz and Dan Ferguson are, looks like our final pair maybe. Stoltz on the left-hand side. The 69 Camaro out of New Lebanon, Ohio with 903 cubic inches. Ferguson on the right-hand side. At Harrisburg, North Carolina, the Viper.
So the final adjustment of the wheelie bar height for Dan Ferguson. And there's the Dodge Viper pulling into the pre-stage beam. Dan was lucky enough to get a hold of one of the pro-modified machines. For lit there, and Ferguson encountered some issues. Car went hard on the wheelie bar. 409 for Brian Stoltz, 173. A lot of smoke out of the header banks there. 640, 85 miles an hour for Dan Ferguson, and that is going to complete round number one of qualifying in Magnafuel Top Sportsman, presented by PDRA Engines and Corbin's RV. Next up, it will be Top Dragster, your first pair, waiting right in the water box.
So our first pair of Larice Motorsports Insurance Top Dragster for Q1, Nick Maloney and Big Brown. Austin Brown on the right-hand side out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. The Red Rum 2017 Race Tech for Tar Heel Home Builders and P&M Performance Engines. Maloney left side. Out of Brentwood, New Hampshire, the TT Motorsports 2016 Dan Page chassis for Pit Stop Auto and Truck and Nesbitt Racing Engines. Maloney, let's go 13. Gets there first with a 4:30 with a 6. 4:33.9 for Austin Brown. Richard Tillman, left side of the racetrack out of Henrico, Virginia. The highlighter, 2014 Mullis chassis. And Troy Wonderboy Williams on the right-hand side out of Warrington, Virginia. The Nesbitt-powered 2010 Miller. Hoosier Tire, House of Pain, Weaver's Transmissions, Team W Motorsports, and Finish Line Racing Fuels. On board Troy Williams' machine. .439.2 for Troy Williams. .490 with the one for Richard Tillman. Richie Allen out of Kilmarnock, Virginia. The 23 Race Tech lines up on the left side of the racetrack. And Tucker Brown out of Bluntville, Tennessee. The 22 M&M chassis. He'll be on the right-hand side.
How about Tucker Brown on a Bluntville, the M&M chassis, 438, 157 the speed, 411 with a 9, 173 there for Richie Allen. 6 drivers have been down so far here in the opening round of Top Dragster qualifying. 2 more comes back to the starting line as their burnouts are complete.
Carson Brown on the right-hand side. Bluntville, Tennessee. And Chad Traylor, left-hand side of the racetrack out of Providence Forge, Virginia. The power-powered 22 Maddox chassis for VP Race Fuels. Mickey Thompson, House of Pain Performance, APD, and WTG Automotive.
Carson Brown, let's go to the 1 thou red, top of the racetrack, 386, 188 miles an hour for Carson. Chad Traylor is going to go 447 here, and that is going to put Carson Brown to the leaderboard, top of the leaderboard in the number 1 qualifying spot. Driver into the 3s here in Top Dragster. Will not be the last, I can assure you. That 2 more.
Piper Quarry on the left-hand side out of Banner Elk, North Carolina, the 04 Race Tech. And Lucas Salemi, most recent winner on tour, here on the right-hand side at Clarence Center, New York. The 07 S&W chassis for G-Force Race Cars, Resolution Racing Services, MSR Performance, and Ollie Installations.
$13 to a 21, and Lucas Salemi will run here to a 4:29 lap time. 4:77 there on the left-hand side of the racetrack for Piper Corey, and Lucas Salemi will be number 3.
Sean Corey on the left-hand side out of Banner Elk, North Carolina, the 04 Race Tech. And Frank Falter on the right-hand side out of Mount Airy, Maryland, the Candyman 2022 Miller chassis for Noonan Race Engineering. Falter right side, Corey on the left. Tree fires. 005 to an 18. It washed the scoreboard on Falter's side. 377 with a 9 at 198 miles per hour. 426 to it, 165 for Corey. Moved Frank Falter to the top of the standing so far. 377. Beats Carson Brown's 386. Brett Farnham on the left-hand side out of St. Augustine, Florida, the 2011 Danny Nelson chassis, and Robert Pickens. Elyria, Ohio on the right-hand side, the 07 Pickens chassis, Kidzilla. $17 light for Pickens, 377.9 at 196 miles per hour, 482 at 143 for Brett Farnham on the left-hand side. So identical ETs with Robert Pickens and Frank Falter came down to mile an hour. Frank Falter was 2 mile an hour quicker. He'll stay on the top spot. Matt Parlett on the right-hand side, the Computech Miller chassis for VP Race Fuels out of Mechanicsville, Maryland. And Kenny Young, left side of the racetrack out of Petersburg, Virginia, the KMC Racing 2020 Race Tech for House of Pain, Cam's Racing Engines, Used Converters, and Battery Barn of Virginia. 13 to a 005 on reaction times. Kenny's going to get there first at a 4:30 with a 7. 4:40 with a 4 for Matt Parlett. Tisha Wilson next up, left side of the racetrack for Greenbrier Excavating, the 2023 Race Tech, Barry Allen Race Engines, PTP Racing, and Premier Concrete Solutions. And Bill Burrow on the right-hand side out of Mountain City, Tennessee, the 2011 M&M chassis.
On the way they go, Tisha Wilson, Bill Burrow, about 004 and 008. 4.074 at 174 miles an hour. Those are the numbers for Tisha Wilson. She's going to climb to number 4 here in qualifying. Bill Burrow, 427, 164. That's going to be number 7 tonight.
Robert May next up, left side. Out of Kinsey, Alabama, the 2024 Danny Nelson chassis. And Brooks McMath on the right-hand side out of Chesapeake, Virginia, the W.L. Black & Associates 2011 Race Tech for NGK Performance, 660 Race Car Technologies, and Abruzzi Transmissions.
So 18 drivers have been down here in Q1, and you look out in the staging lanes, and there is still a ton of top dragster machines that you will see here tonight.
So the number on the scoreboard, the 477, that's the elite side. That number is going to drop drastically.
Quickest 16 cars will go into the elite field. We also have top dragster back out. sure we will fill that up with no problem and have a few that will spill over into bracket bash. So Brooks and Robert. It's Alabama left side, Virginia right side. These bulbs are lit and tree's on its way down. About 001 for Brooks McMath, and he encounters issues in the first 60 feet of the run. 392, no problem for Robert May this evening at 186. So the Danny Nelson machine makes a clean run to the number 4 spot.
Brian Anderson out of Carson, Virginia, next up on the left side of the racetrack, the 2023 Race Tech. And Tom Reese got a runner-up finish at Martin, Michigan. He'll be on the right-hand side out of Leroy, Ohio, the T&K Automotive Services 99 undercover chassis for Francis Engineering Engines and Snap-on Tools. Yeah, and with that last pass, the number on the scoreboard dropped by 0.3. It's going to keep dropping. So 447 now, the number to get on the elite side. Probably down in the 3s before the end of qualifying, I would imagine. All remaining top dragsters that haven't been down yet in Q1, we need you to the lanes, please. All remaining top dragsters, we need you.
Tom Reese with the wheels in the air and goes over towards the wall, has to bring it back to the center of the racetrack. And Tom Reese, 437, 158 after a driving job out there. Brian Anderson, 380, 189 the speed. And Brian Anderson slides to number 3.
Yeah, he was trip zip letting go too. He's here to
Perfect. Party. And then it was a wild ride from there.
Yeah.
For Tom Reese, and still ends up number 14 for right now. He'll be out of the elite field here rather quickly. There's
J.B. Donati, left-hand side out of Henrico, Virginia, the White Oak Turf Care 2012 Race Tech for Superior Tire and Auto. And JoJo Gary on the right-hand side out of Bowling Springs, South Carolina for McCarty Auto Parts. American race cars, line-to-line coatings, that 22 American chassis.
Joe Gary. That thing's rich. Look at that, 428, 163 miles an hour spraying for mosquitoes out there after he was 005. And J.B. Donati's going to go 423, 165. It'll be 8 and 11.
Brooke Allgary, next up on the right-hand side, the Fulton Power 22 American out of Bowling Springs, and Greg Slack on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Albemarle, North Carolina, the Critical Thinking 03 Race Tech for Mickey Thompson, Holly, Sunoco Fuels, Motion Race Work, and Slack Converters.
So Brooks in, Greg set to go, and they turn him loose, 14 to a 17. Brooke Allgary, 426 with a 2, 165. Greg's going to be right behind her, 426 with a 9. 7 foul difference in elapsed times, and that's going to be number 9 and 11.
And that'll bring up Scott Neal on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Harmony, North Carolina, and Will Kreisman out of Asheville, North Carolina. He'll be on the right-hand side. CNC Chemicals, Sam and Dave's Auto Sales, and Par Racing Engines for his 07 Race Tech. Scott Neal has some issues for it. 29-2 for Will Kreisman here on the right-hand side. Next pair up, Rick Johnson on the left side. The 06 Mullis chassis out of Johnson City, Tennessee. And Stacy Hall on the right-hand side out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. 53-year-old engine builder for Fulton Competition Race Engines behind the wheel of his 2021 American chassis. Stacy Hall, 448 with a 3. Rick Johnson, 482.7, 142. Dickie Smith and Justin Kirk next up. Justin on the right-hand side out of Kermit, West Virginia, the 2014 American chassis. Dickie Smith left side out of Waldorf, Maryland, the Mazier Products 2018 Race Tech. Cool Shirt System, Hoosier Tire, and Computech. Justin Kirk, 430 with an 8. Dickie Smith, 447.4. So 430 with the 6. Now the bump spot on the elite side. Nick Maloney holds that position currently. Mark Romanowski out of Hilton, New York, the 2020 M&M chassis for Vortex Superchargers. And Michael White on the right-hand side out of Arden, North Carolina for CNC Chemical. 2015 Maddox chassis with the power plant. Frank Falter, 377.9 at 198, your number one spot on the elite side.
Side-by-side race to the other end, and Michael White's going to get there first. 2 thou red, 381.6, 189 the speed. 411, 135 for Mark Romanovsky. So Romanovsky's going to be number 9 for right now. Michael White, number 4. Frank Folter still holds on to the number 1 qualifying spot off of speed. 198 to the 196 of Robert Pickens.
That'll bring up Chaz Silence on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, the Silence Service Center 2021 Race Tech for Cameron's Torque Converters. And Angie Travis, left-hand side, the 2016 Miller chassis for Hickory Enclosed Trailer Sales.
And it's going to be 389 there for Angie. Chaz Silence, what's going to be 7 thou red, 429 at the other end of the racetrack at 158. So Angie Travis in the elite field at number 6.
Rodney Pryor next up, left-hand side of the racetrack out of Glen Allen, Virginia, the House of Paint Performance 2011 Racecraft with the power plant, Mickey Thompson, FTI Performance, Holly MSD and Turbo Smart, and Ava Maloney on the right-hand side out of Brentwood, New Hampshire, the 2018 Race Tech. Looks like we might have one stop down at the top end, so we'll have to get that moved before we can send the next pair. All right, so we're down on the top end as the parachute got wrapped around the rear end housing, so we'll be just a moment while we get the parachute untangled. for Robbie and Ava. 4:32.1 for Rodney Pryor. 4:86.5 for Ava Maloney. Nick Rivas out of Hall River, North Carolina, the 2013 Race Tech for Miller Time Racing. On the left-hand side of the racetrack. On the right-hand side, Mike Kopko, the Steel City Rocket 2012 M&M chassis for Kopko's Auto Service, fresh off a runner-up finish at Martin, Michigan.
There goes Mike Kopko. Sachet down low, and 389 for Kopko at 185. 437, 158. Mike Rivas for being 24th thou red.
John Platt Jr. out of Cocoa, Florida, left side of the racetrack, and Aaron Roberts. Good to see him back out here on the PDRA Tour out of Bluff City, Tennessee. The Bel Air Construction 2014 Boss chassis.
John Platt and Aaron Roberts set and ready to go. Tree fires, they're out in the way. At least one of them are. And John's going to go 415, 168. Aaron still sitting here on the starting line in the car. This is fire, they're going to push him off, unfortunately.
Blake Combs, left side out of Bluff City. Let's get that right. The 2018 American chassis. And Brian Yuntz on the right-hand side out of Hudson, North Carolina. Yuntz RV 23 Miller chassis.
I remember my first day.
That would be today. 15 to a 16, going by the Christmas tree top end. 4:42.9 for Brian Yaunce. Blake Combs 4:67.0. Josh Duggins out of Inman, South Carolina, left side of the racetrack, the 2014 Maddox chassis. And Patrick McMath out of Chesapeake, Virginia, the WL Black & Associates 2017 Race Tech for NGK, Abruzzi, and 660 Race Car Technologies.
So McMath and Duggins here on the starting line at Race Tech with a 582 cubic inch big block for Patrick. Race Car Technology, they're going to be 027. McMath closes in on the finish line stripe, 436, 160 miles an hour. Josh Duggins is going to go 415 at 170.
And that'll bring up Dawson Putman, left side out of Bowling Springs, South Carolina. And Kyle Harris of Beaufort, Ontario, Canada, the Altered Beast. Double O Permits and Services, Harquip Ltd, Hartman Machine Works, and Fast Eddie Racewear. Had his son Ryan in the car, testing it earlier, getting his license runs in. Dad jumps back behind the wheel here for Q1. Kyle currently number 3 man in the point standings.
Oh, hold on, Kyle Harris. That car was way crossed up. Kyle. It went left, it went right, it went every way but straight. And Kyle, 383 at 188. That is just, I don't even know what to say about that. Number 5 in the qualified order for Kyle Harris. Dawson Putman, 426, 163. And
I think I lifted for him like 4 times on that pass.
I did too.
That was insane. That'll bring up Fast Freddy, left-hand side. Freddie Perkins out of Plainville, Connecticut, the Select Performance 2016 Maddox chassis. For Southern New England Fire, Maxima Racing Oil, and Mickey Thompson Tires. And Jamie Holston on the right-hand side out of Laurel Retreat, Virginia, the 22 Diamond chassis.
Here comes Matt Cook and Kellen Farmer. The Orange Pack, Florida. Charge dragster there for Cook and Kellen. Which calls home in Graham, North Carolina, right where the Race Tech race car shop is. We're working our way through Police Motorsports Insurance Top Dragster, presented by Greenbrier Excavating and Yaunce RV.
0 to a 0 on reaction time. Sounds like Cook had some issues there. That only goes through at a 5:03, a 1:03. But look at Kellen Farmer, 3:78.0 at 194. Put Kellen Farmer in the number 3 qualified position. Now Josh Duggins is your number 16 qualifier at a 4:15.7. Michael Combs and Nicole Zuccarelli. Nicole on the right-hand side goes red. 4:35 with a 1 for Nicole. Michael Combs, 4:53.1. All right, Russ Whitlock out of Mocksville, North Carolina, the Sunrise Tire 2014 Race Tech. He'll be on the left side of the racetrack. And Vaughn Caulfield on the right-hand side out of Lake Placid, Florida, the 2019 Maddox chassis. .4039 for Vaughn Caulfield. Russ Whitlock goes through at a 3:99.8. Now Mark Romanofsky is your number 16 qualifier to 4:11.9. Frank Falter still holding on to that number 1 spot. Two-time #1 qualifier and one-time event winner. Coming up next on the left side of the racetrack, that's Casey Ingram. Farmington, Missouri-based 2020 Miller chassis for full throttle truck centers. PSI Superchargers, Cohen Engineering, and Hoosier Tires. And Charles Caricia out of Asheville, North Carolina. The 24 Next Gen chassis for line-to-line coatings, Par Racing engines, and Next Gen race cars. So all eyes are going to be on Casey Ingram, left side of the racetrack, as he tries to put that Miller chassis in the #1 spot. He got #1 qualifier in Michigan at a 373.2. And at our season opener in Galat, he won a 368.3.
All right, the two quick race cars are going to be coming to the starting line right now. Casey Ingram, Charles Caricia. Full Next Gen machine. Across the way in North Carolina. Good clean runs out of both. Look at the scoreboards, 369. After he's 009 for Casey Ingram at 205 miles an hour, 387 at 185 for Charles. He's going to go to #9. And there's your new #1 qualifier for by 0.08 of a second. Casey Ingram, low ET, top speed, and your #1 qualifier.
And that'll put Tisha Wilson in the #16 qualified position with that 407.4. The top 14 hot rods are all in the 3-second range, and that'll bring up Ashley Coleman, left side. Out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, the DC Fleet Service 2017 American. And Jimmy Albertson on the right-hand side. Out of Wallace, North Carolina, the Jimmy's Garage 04 Race Tech.
There goes Ashley, 383. Good run, 185. And James Albertson's going to go forward, 36 at 162 for Jimmy's Garage. So Ashley Coleman, #8. James Albertson, #39 here in Top Dragster qualifying.
And now the only car in the elite side, still in the 4-second range, is Vaughn Caulfield, your #16 qualifier with a 403.9. And that'll bring up Dale West at Asheville, North Carolina, the 05 Mullis chassis, left side of the racetrack. And TJ Harper out of Harrisonburg, Virginia, the Kinney's Automart Race Tech. He's on the right-hand side.
There goes TJ Harper, 006, 434 tonight in the race tech. And 161, 443 Dale West. 32 Sal Red. Next pair, Chris Rosica over there on the right side. If you follow 00, and you've seen Chris Rosica he made it. The other night in the garage, he gave the motor a little pep talk, and yeah, he did. And I'm sure this motor's going to run a lot better since he gave it that pep talk.
Oh, absolutely. That tends to help.
It does.
Katie Lipford on the left-hand side out of Mountain City, Tennessee, the 21 Racecraft. And as Derek said, Chris Rosica on the right-hand side.
He was on the chip that night.
He definitely was.
Rosica 27 thou red. And it's going to go 431. 161 miles an hour, had 450 on the dial board. So
It's close.
it worked. Whatever he did, it worked. Yep.
Pep Talk did well. Bill Ernest, left side. The 2014 Miller chassis, and Mallory Logan on the right-hand side out of Richmond, Virginia, the Texas Roadhouse machine.
Well, Bill Ernest tire loses fire. Mallory Logan's going to go 462 for Team Texas Roadhouse at 149.
Shannon and Larry Roberts up next out of Greenville, South Carolina. The Roberts Equipment Repair. 2010 Race Tech for Shannon, left side. 2016 Race Tech for Larry on the right side.
Larry and Shannon Roberts. Daughter duo to the other end of the racetrack. 417 for Shannon. Larry, 13 green, 382, 189. And Larry Roberts going to be number 7.
And that'll give us an all 3-second elite field, 3:99.8 now, the number 16 qualifier, and that's Russ Whitlock. Dave Petrovsky, left side of the racetrack. The Glick Fire Equipment 21 Precision chassis for Racecrafters Machine. And Sammy Helms on the right-hand side out of Locust, North Carolina for Midland Engine and Machine. The 2012 Horton chassis.
There goes Sammy Helms. 23 green and 434 tonight, a 161. 418 there for Dave Petrovsky. On the left-hand side for Glick Fire Equipment, 167. Speed for Dave, and that is going to be number 24 here in the qualified field. Sammy's going to be down there at the number 41 spot. Two more machines complete their burnouts. They come back to the starting line.
It's going to be Tyler Rudolph on the right-hand side out of Hemlock, New York, the Derek Wolf Trucking 2010 American chassis. And Steve Furr out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, the Red Rocket 2013 American chassis for Wright Trailers, Hoosier Tire, VP Race Fuels, Moser Engineering, and Parr Racing Engines. Steve Furr did not make the trip to Michigan. He was leading the points and did not go to Michigan. And when they left Michigan, he was less than a round out of first place, sitting in second place. So you miss an entire race and you're less than a round out of the points lead.
Now Tyler's car, a lot of wheel speed at the head. He's going to click it off. 009. Steve Furr goes 11 and 393, 184.
So that 393.8 for Steve Furr, only good enough for number 16. And that'll bring up Alexis Whitaker on the left-hand side, the 2021 Mike Boss chassis for Wright Trailers, H-Tech Automotive, and Whitaker Heat and Air. And Art Sealfie on the right-hand side, the 09 American chassis out of Campbell, Ohio.
Art Sealfie's American race car will run 443, 156. Problems there for Alexis Whitaker. That's that. Dragster's going to stay on the starting line. They'll push it off momentarily. And this is going to be our final pair here in Q1, waiting in the water box.
So our final two cars in category, Gabe Miles, left-hand side out of Elgin, South Carolina. And Barry Brown out of Bluntville, Tennessee, the 2019 M&M chassis on the right-hand side.
.430 there for Barry Brown, 163 the speed, 442, 159 for Gabe. Elgin, South Carolina. And on the left-hand side, so that will conclude round one of qualifying. Top dragster here this evening under the lights at Bristol. Day number one of the PDRA Thunder Valley Throwdown. Just about to be in the books. So officially will conclude us out here on this Thursday night in Bristol, and we were going to kick off tomorrow morning. Gates open at 8 a.m., registration as well. Tech opens at 8, and we are going to make our first call to the lanes, and junior dragster qualifying begins at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And we have a 9 a.m. start time tomorrow morning. Qualifying junior dragsters, you will be first out here at the PDRA Thunder Valley Throwdown.